Welcome to the Disciples of the Watch podcast with your hosts, Gene Vogel and Nate Matnich.
Welcome, metal brothers and sisters, and thank you for joining the Disciples of the Watch. I hope you're ready for another deep dive.
In this episode, we're going to go track by track on Megadeth's final album, the self-titled Megadeth. I'm Nate Matnich.
And I'm Gene Vogel. Thank you for joining us. Nate, what are the details on this one?
Apparently, this is known as the White Album. I don't think I've heard that.
That was news to me, too. Thank you, Wikipedia.
Yeah. All right, it's their 17th and final studio album, and it's produced by Dave Mustaine and Chris Rakestraw. The album was released on January 23rd, 2026. It is Megadeth's only album with guitarist Teemu Montiasari, and their first since 2009's Endgame to feature bassist James Lomenzo. The album was announced on August 14th, 2025. Its release was accompanied by the band's farewell tour announcement. 4 singles were released, starting with the lead single Tipping Point, followed by I Don't Care, Let There Be Shred, and Puppet Parade. The album received mixed to positive reviews from critics. It's the band's only album to reach number 1 on Billboard 200 with 73,000 units.
And the personnel in this one, we have Dave Mustaine, of course, the man, the myth, the legend, on guitars, vocals, production, engineering even, Jesus. Teemu Montiasari on guitars, additional production, engineering. James Lomenzo, of course, as you mentioned, on bass, and Dirk Verburen on drums, with additional backing vocals by Brandon Ray. Nate, who's Brandon Ray?
I do not know.
That makes 2 of us. Was he the DoorDash guy who just happened to be dropping off some food? And
Right, hey, come on in.
We need some voice on this. He's a guitarist, background singer for artists Brett Eldridge and Florida Georgia Line while touring with Taylor Swift, Ed Sheeran, and Tim McGraw. So it must be his daughter's boyfriend, I think. I mean, I'm assuming that's a leap. Don't get me wrong. I don't know anything about Electra Mustaine's personal life, and I guess I don't need to know any more than that. I'm just going to speculate that maybe he's a friend of who's the Rakestraw guy, the producer. Well. Maybe he's like, hey, can we get a credit on a album that somebody cares about? How about Megadeth? All right, let's get Brandon in. And Chris Rakestraw is a Nashville-based producer, engineer, and songwriter, because that's a name I've not heard of. Have you?
No, but I'm not deep into producers and things. So
I mean, there's names that we see a lot. That's why it's like, who is this guy? And it's anybody new can be good. Don't get me wrong. I was just curious to see what he brings to the table, so to speak. Oh, here we go. I'm pulling up his credits right now, Nate, on the good old Encyclopedia Metallum. So here we go. Oh, he's worked with Black Label Society back in 2003. He worked on Body Count's Bloodlust, Children of Bodom, Danzig. Here we go. Holy buckets. He was mixing engineer on Circle of Snakes. A lot of engineering credits there. Actually, going back to Black Label Society, that is also engineering. But he started producing somewhere. Here's one from some band I don't care about. Let's see, Doro. Okay, so Doro's cool. Worked with Doro back in 2012 and 2016 as recording is the credits. Glenn Danzig, Black Aria 2. He was the engineer and the mixer on that. So he's the guy. Lamb of God, Megadeth, The Wake Up Dead. He was the engineer. Megadeth co-producer on Dystopia. Okay, so that's a good album. We enjoyed that one.
Yep, that was a good one.
He was a producer and engineer on The Sick and the Dying and the Dead. And then, of course, he's always got a songwriting credit on track 12?
There is no track 12.
Well, there must be a bonus track then. Because, it says here, bonus songwriting, track 12.
It's 11 tracks with Ride the Lightning, the vinyl anyways.
I wonder, if that's one of that. I think Target's got that bonus track on it. The Target edition of the which I think I checked out, and I didn't think it was worth going to Target to buy it. Even on CD, I thought, I don't need that. Soulfly, he was an engineer with Soulfly. So he's been around. White Wizard, he's did some engineering and producing for White Wizard back in 2008 and 2009. So I guess he's got a little bit of a heavy metal background there. So that's pretty cool. So those are the guilty parties, all those people I just mentioned. Dave Mustaine, Teemu Montiasari, James Lomenzo, and Dirk Verburen. Yeah, poor Teemu. This is his first album and last album with Megadeth.
It's probably good that Dave's hanging it up, though.
Yes. Spoiler.
Timo brings a lot to the table, though, I feel like.
Well, that's good. He's no
You're
Kiku.
not a fan?
He's no Kiku.
He's no Kiku.
Timo's no Kiku.
Well, the first track, which was a single, is Tipping Point, and I gave it a 4. And I think it's the strongest song on the album. I mean, I have some other positive ones, but really, I think this is probably the best one. It's somewhat reminiscent of, the old days of Megadeth, but I do find that throughout the album, music-wise, there's a lot of parts that harken back to earlier albums. But Dave's vocals are really tired.
Yes.
I think. And that kind of takes it away from me. And I'm not really a fan of the lyrics on this whole album. I'll just state it now.
You're supposed to save that for the end of this show.
It's just going to come up every time.
You know what? You're right. I am right there with you. I was going to try to save it till the end, but you're right. I'm right there to where it's like, God, if the lyrics had just been Dave 20 years ago, maybe this would be a different album. And it's not. It's just Dave. Like, it's almost like he's sprinting to the finish line. He's like, I just don't want to put that much into it. I just need to get it done. And, maybe I'm wrong, but although then again, I wasn't too impressed with the last album either.
Yeah. The lyrics aren't, I don't know. They just don't match up. I'll talk more about it as we go. This song is good, though.
Yeah, it's not too shabby. What'd you rate it?
A 4.
A 4? Jeepers. Well, here's one that I said Dave has been rather cookie cutter on his writing since the early 2000s. Nate, I don't know if you agree with that. At least a lot of patterns. Maybe there are some things that kind of break out. Dystopia and, God, what's the other one I'm blanking on? Endgame were a little bit of a break from that in a fashion. And I'm feeling the same thing with this track. And actually, I'm going to say it now. It's a lot on this album. Some of these tracks and most, if not, they feel like they could have been recorded like in the late 90s, early 2000s, early to mid 2000s, almost everything up to where he finished at here, with the exception of Risk or Super Collider, because those were a little bit different. Especially not this one here, though. It's a little bit of a thrashy number, and the bridge is pretty nice. I also like the change up at the end. Lyrically, so it's a Dave Mustaine staple of telling people how tough he is and that he's at the tipping point. The lyrics are the weakest point of the song, but still not too shabby. I gave it a 3.5.
That's a fair rating.
Yeah, we're not too off. 3.5 to 4. Up next, Nate, is I Don't Care about this album. No, just kidding. That's the name of the song. I Don't Care. I don't have much on this one. I just said, well, here we go again. Dave doesn't care what you think of him. I feel like we got a little nod to the Cro-Mags on this one. Gotta know. I kind of enjoyed that piece of it. It's a serviceable song, just above average at a 3 for me.
Yeah, I rated a 3 as well. It's got more of a punk type vibe, but a lot of that to me is like kind of contrived nowadays.
Yes.
And all of the kind of fuck society songs, like I haven't really heard anything where I really believe that somebody's pissed off. You know what I mean? When it comes to like a social issue type song, which, like in the early days of punk, those are like, there's some raw aggression in that stuff. Now It just feels like a marketable thing, I guess. It's
hard to write a punk song from your winery after you just got off your private jet, Nate. So just deal with it.
Yeah. Well, it comes down to that too, for a lot of this. I don't know that he could have shifted focus because this is just kind of what Dave writes, but not this song. I'm just talking about the anti-social stuff because there's more of it on this album. But I don't know. I don't believe it. It went number 1 on iTunes when it came out. I was surprised because there's a lot of really good Megadeth songs, and I wouldn't put this like as a number 1.
No, and I think it kind of came and went pretty quick. It was the excitement for new Megadeth, and it's the last album. And I think initially I even liked the song more the first time or the second time, and then it was like it kind of just went up and fell off to where it's like it's okay.
I think if Dave would have wrote this like during the Peace Cells era, it would have had a whole better vibe, or could put this on So Far So Good So What, but in that vein.
Anything before Rust in Peace, and it would have been like a classic Megadeth song.
What the hell you think?
I don't hate it though. I did give it a 3. It's a big change from the first song. The first song just rips. This one just doesn't. It's kind of a big change. So anyways, I don't care. All right. Next up is Hey God, ? I gave this a 2 ranking. This is a pretty poor song, I think. It's like the lyrics are like he's having a conversation with God. I put a note. This is Dave's Christian metal song. I don't know.
Dave going striper.
There's a couple there's some good riffs. The lead is enjoyable, and throughout this whole album, the music is really good. I like most of the songs, like the music aspect of it, except for some of the choruses where he's picking through the, he's doing the arpeggios or whatever. That I don't know what they call that whole vibe, but that is a huge cookie cutter thing that he started doing at some point, like around Abomination's album.
Yeah, Creator's guilty of that too, where it's like just here comes the chorus. We're going to do everything we've done the past 6 albums. Or maybe not that many, but you get the point. It's the last few albums maybe.
But yeah, the lyrics are really about my God, my life sucks or whatever. And why God? Well,
even part of it is like, I don't always listen to you either. It's kind of a thing, which, it's like, yeah, I like the fact that he took a little bit of ownership on that as well.
Yeah. Weak song. Sorry.
Well, Nate, I agree with you, but maybe not as much. Here's my notes on this one. I said, it feels like something that may have come out in the late 90s. Or possibly this one could have been on Super Collider. This is the radio song of the album. The chorus is weak. For me, spoiler, this is the weakest song on the album. I almost feel generous giving it a 2.5, Nate, and especially after you gave it a 2. I feel like that one's probably going to be, could sink down to 2.25 to 2.5 or 2 level, but I'll leave it where I've got here at 2.5. I think you could have done more lyrically with the concept on it. Again, if you had given Dave maybe this song and the concept back in the late 80s, I would have loved to see what he would do with that. Here, it's just weak sauce, and the chorus sucks.
Yeah, weak.
So I gave it a 2.5. Now, Nate, we're going to pick it up a little bit here on the next one. We got Let There Be Shred. At least musically, we pick it up a little bit. Lyrically, it's kind of. But I said it's a nice follow-up to the lackluster Hey God as the song kicks off. Like right away, when you get out of Hey God, it's like, okay, can it get any worse than this? And then you get into the next song, it's like, okay, woo, this feels much better. But Nate, I got a question. Has Dave told you how cool he is lately?
Not that I know of.
Okay, well, good thing you listen to this album, because now you know. he's gonna remind you on Let There Be Shred. It's not too bad of a song, but lyrically it's just too focused on Dave. Like, here's all the stuff that I did, and it feels Trumpian. It feels like just fake gold, just gross. Like, come on, dude. Now, if he had taken this concept, Let There Be Shred, and did like an old school nod to the origins of thrash metal, that would have been a fucking banger. But he just is like, well, I basically helped create this genre and I want everybody to know about it. So it just bugs me. And there's no gang vocals. Why wouldn't you have gang vocals on a song like this? But, missed opportunities, I guess. And hey, I came up with a drinking game while I was listening to this. If you take a drink every time Dave says I or my, you're probably going to end up in the hospital. But it'll be a fun drinking game nonetheless. It's only for the young, 21 and up.
But the thread of this album is that it's his farewell. And so he is recapping his life, I think, through this album. It's not very strong, in my opinion, but I think that's what's happening with it.
Yeah, you're right. There's that there, but it's like, why not celebrate everything about the 80s thrash metal instead of just I played stages and I did a guitar thing. It's just tired, man. It didn't click for me. However, it doesn't rate as bad as Hey God. So I gave this one a 3 on my score, Nate.
Well, I actually gave it a 4. I must have been feeling good about life at the time when I was listening to it and ranking it. No, it's got good thrash, riffs and leads. There's some good breakdowns in there. One right before the lead. There's a really brief one towards the at the end of it. Again, I think the lyrics are weak. It's almost like a Whiplash song, but without the balls.
Yeah.
Where they're talking about playing and people are banging their heads, against the stage like they never did before.
Yeah.
Anyways, it's odd to me that Dave is basically one of the originators of thrash metal, and his Megadeth was pretty unhinged and dangerous sounding in the early days, and now it's so much of a formula. It's really difficult. Yeah. And even this is there's some good shredding on this song for sure.
Agreed.
It's really produced, and it's just I don't know, it's just weird that Dave was. I mean, Overkill is still putting out extremely I just don't think Dave has the, like you said, he's fucking living on some winery. You know what I mean? He's riding horses with his daughter and shit around, fucking drinking wine and shit. So I don't, I feel like Overkill, those guys are still in the trenches a little bit.
Yeah, they haven't lost their blue collar roots.
So he took a shot, but it's kind of weak. But I still gave it a 4, mostly because of the music. But this is where I made a note about his posh life. He's like, what does Dave got to be angry about anymore? What does he have to prove anymore? So next up is Puppet Parade. I gave it a 3, and I probably could have gave it less. This was released as a single, but I don't know. I'm not really into it. I like the music, and my note is I liked the music until the chorus. It's again with these chorus. I don't know what it is. Those are supposed to be the hooks, and he doesn't have it. I don't know why. I just put super average Megadeth song. I just, in the whole scheme of things, it's just a run of the, kind of average, I guess. I don't have a lot more to say about this track.
Yeah, on Puppet Parade, this one harkens back to when Dave was writing as a man of the people. Feels very mid-90s. And another where the chorus is weak, unfortunately. So there we are, Simpatico Nate. I think we're going to repeat that quite a bit through this album. Now, the bridge I thought was pretty cool, and I really like the way the song ends. It was almost a 3.5, but that chorus just hurts the song too much. And I wanted to give it a 3, but I gave it a 1/4 point for that post-bridge section just to get it a little bit above some of the others that are 3s on my list here. So Puppet Parade, I gave it a 3 and a rare 1/4.
Interesting. Might as well just round down.
But I wanted it to be better than Let There Be Shred for me.
Wow. Okay. Fair enough.
Well, this may be this definitely has to be part of his writing process. Another Bad Day is the name of the song. Well, so when this one starts out, Nate, I am immediately interested. There's something a little different, but it's another song about Dave writing an everyman type of song, but unfortunately it lacks the old school Mustaine wit that you'd find on a song like Liar or Hook and Mouth. And another bad chorus. Okay, not bad, but
it's bad.
It just worked well with the song title. I don't know. I that's why I went with Another Bad Day, another bad chorus. But yeah, totally uninspired. I gave it a 3. That feels generous.
Well, we were on the same wavelength with Another Bad Chorus because that's my very first comment that I made
Nice.
about it. I was listening to it thinking, yeah, this is pretty good. And then that chorus, I was like, nope, not good. I give it a 3 because it's, there is some good parts in it, but the chorus is not good at all. And the lyrics, again, it's like, I don't know. It's almost, to me, it's almost more like a whiny person who can't get through life, in my opinion. But I made a note saying, what does Dave know about the working man's blues? He hasn't been in that situation for a long time. Not a fan, but I did give it a 3 based on some of the musical aspects of it. I wish I was more excited about it. There was a lot of people who raved about the album.
Well, it's the excitement of a new Megadeth album, the last Megadeth album, the last world tour. But yeah, I think when the smoke clears, and I think it's already starting to clear, the excitement's going to be gone. And I think this is going to fall into where it belongs in their canon, in their whole catalog. and it's not going to be in the top 3, top 5, top 10. We'll have to see where it all shakes out.
Yeah.
But I know where it falls into my top 17, and we'll get to that at the end of the show.
Indeed. Next up is Made to Kill. It's pretty average. I wish I had just had more to say about some of these songs. I was just listening to them and thinking, I don't know what the fuck to say about it really, you know. It's not horrible, so it's not, I can't even like rip on it too much because it's not like it's a horrible album, but it's not great where I'm fucking excited about it either. So
yeah, but that's where I find the fuel is this. If this is your swan song, this is your final, you didn't do yourself justice. You basically just did The Sick, the Dying, and the Dead, or where the fuck that thing is called, part 2. And you didn't go out, you know, there could have been guests on this, and he didn't do that. You know, he kept it just pretty slimmed down. It's like there's no celebration here. It's him talking about, you know, I had another bad day. I'm at my tipping point and I don't care. Hey, God, it's me, Dave. Well, let there be shred. Here's a song about me, Dave Mustaine. You know, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah. Well, maybe young people would like it. I don't know. I'm not a big fan of the album cover either. I'll just mention, like, at least The Sick, the Dying, and the Dead, or The Dead and the Dying, which I get the two mixed up, but it's a pretty cool album cover. It reminds me more of like classic Megadeth. This new one, not so much.
You're not a fan of the White Album?
Not extraordinarily.
Yeah, I guess I didn't have a strong opinion either way. So I guess it was kind of that middle ground of, it is what it is. It wasn't inspiring, but it didn't make me want to go vomit. Like, well, Super Collider wasn't a horrible album cover. That was the best thing about Super Collider was the album cover.
The album cover. Yeah.
And that's not saying much. Well, here's my notes on Made to Kill. Nate, did you give a ranking on that one?
I did. I gave it a 3.
A 3. Okay. So here's my notes. When I said that Hey God was my least liked song of the album, I'd forgotten about Made to Kill. Dave attempted to capture the vibe along the lines of Holy Wars lyrically with present day issues, but just he can't do it. And the funny thing is that part of the riffing on this one reminds me of the last couple of Metallica albums, but with better sounding amplification. And I'm starting to feel that this 2.5 that I gave it might be too generous based on what I just said, but I did give it a 2.5. So it's actually right there with Hey God.
Yeah, I had a note about it being a soldier song, and it seems more of like, yeah, I want to write a tribute song to the military folks or something like that, right? For instance, but not out of a passion. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's more of a conceptual, or I don't know. It doesn't carry any weight ultimately.
Yeah,
and none of the social or religious aspects of this album carry any weight.
Agreed. It's almost like Dave went from being a very prolific, poetic writer to writing Roses Are Red, Violets Are Blue, and then coming up with something to fill in the rest.
Definitely.
Up next, we have Obey the Call. So I'm sensing a theme of Megadeth songs that could have been written in the late 90s to early 2000s as we get into Obey the Call. Of course, I've mentioned it a few times here in my review of this album. Another lackluster chorus. Even though I rate this the same as Made to Kill and Hey God, this one is the better of the 3, but I can't in good conscience go above a 2.5 with this weak ass chorus. So there you go. Obey the Call. I gave it a 2.5.
Okay, well, I was like between 3.5 and 4, and so I don't do the half ranking, so I did give it a 4. And it's mainly because it's a war song, but it's slower with some heavier riffing going on, and I think his vocals fit that better. The slow, a little bit, sludgier sounding, I just felt like his vocals went along with it better, so that made me feel like it was a good song, compared to some of the other stuff on here.
It's just lyrically, it's too not like there, and the choruses.
Well, every lyric on here is not good, so.
So you're rounding up. Why didn't you round down from 3.5 down to 3? Because
I liked this one a little bit more, just because of, as I said, I think his vocals go better with the slower. Maybe they could have just did a slower album.
Is that the same what you gave Let There Be Shred?
Yeah.
Okay. So you'd put this as good of a song as Let There Be Shred is what you're telling me.
Well, like I said, I was going to do a 3.5, but I didn't want to drop it down to a 3 because I like it better than being an average
Just go
song.
3.5. Join the club. Come to the dark side. Use quarter points. Use half points.
It's not going to affect the ranking that strongly.
I want Baco throwing his headphones off of his head when he's listening to this in frustration as he hears me give quarter points and half points. Join me, Nate. Go to 3.5.
No way, man. It doesn't change this album from being an average album, the half point.
But it makes you feel better. Trust me. All right, you're sticking with your 4. Okay. I got it. Yeah,
man. Sticking with the 4.
Any more on the Obey the Call?
No. I'm ready to move on from that.
Let's move on.
I Am War is the next track, and I gave this one a 2, and then I felt like maybe this could have been an EP, a farewell EP.
That would have been awesome.
I don't know. I wish I would have been more excited about this album, honestly. But there's a lot of the, I lived a hard life but persisted type of lyrics. I made that note. That's kind of what this song is about, I don't really have much more to say about it, honestly. It's basic sounding.
Yeah, you gave this one a little harsher ranking than I did, which I'm surprised at. So this one here starts out with a little bit of promise. It's another I song. I like the sounds of the standout guitar. I isn't Dave Mustaine. I, me, that type of thing. I like the sounds of the standout guitar that they use in the intro, and then it comes back. It's kind of weaved throughout the song that they have a little bit of effect on, so it stands out just a smidge more. And I felt like it added a little color to the track. But again, a weak chorus, or at least somewhat weak chorus on this one. This might be a little bit better than some of the others. Songs are starting to feel a bit formulaic on this last half of the album. And I'm probably wrong in that note. It's probably the whole album. I am coming to the realization that to this point that one thing that is missing from Dave's vocal performance on this album is passion. Feels like he's just going through the motions, much like Hetfield on the last few Metallica albums, other than the song Spit Out the Bone. That's the only track I feel like Hetfield just gave it that fucking Hetfield snarl. And we're not getting any classic Mustaine on this one, other than he kind of amps it up in Ride the Lightning, but I'm going to save that comment for later. I gave it 3.
All right.
Up next is The Last Note, and kind of the last song, Nate. I know he calls Ride the Lightning a bonus track, but it's supposed, it's weird because it's like, well, if you want it to be the last note, maybe put Ride the Lightning in there, not call it a bonus track. But then again, calling it a bonus track maybe it gives you the out of saying, well, it was just kind of a throwaway song. So we'll get to that, of course, later on as we get to The Last Note here now. When Dave starts singing at the track right out of the gate, it makes me want to take a throat lozenge myself. Another I Me song, but autobiographical this time, or biographical this time. So there you go. So it's a lot more understandable, of course, on this one. Did we need another song about Dave singing about Dave? That's why I'm kind of pissed off about the Let There Be Shred could have been a nod to the old school instead of a nod to Dave Mustaine. Because here we are with another nod to Dave Mustaine. Dave writing on the facing of the end of Megadeth. I like the sentiment. The song is okay, and at times I wanted to pull the rating back a little, but as I continue, I just can't. So it stayed at a 3, but then we keep on going. And even though the end of Megadeth is nigh and the music lives on, I sure could have done without the last spoken part at the end of this song. And that brings it down to 2.5. It just, the beginning and the end ruined the song to me. 2.5 is my score.
I ranked it as a 3. Being generous, I feel like. Here's a lyric from the song. So here's my last will, my final testament, my sneer. I came, I ruled, now I disappear. And I thought, this is Dave's goodbye song. Couldn't it have a little bit more heart?
Yes. And the music's going to live on. Like I mentioned in my portion there is like, we still have so much good Megadeth to listen to. The music doesn't die. How many people listen to Jim Morrison, Jimi Hendrix, fucking, think of bands that have died a long time ago. Artists that died a long time ago. The music, if it's good, lives on. So The Last Note to me feels like that should have been the bonus track, like the throwaway song, if you want to call it that. It missed the mark fucking completely. Pardon my French Canadian.
There's some decent musical parts to it yet.
Yes.
So it wouldn't have worked as an instrumental, but yeah. Like you said, Dave doesn't have a lot of passion in his vocals. So, and maybe here the next track is it. That was where he gave it his most.
His college try.
All right, we're going to close it out with Ride the Lightning, the bonus track.
The bonus.
I ranked this as 3. A cover, if it's not terrible, is just usually going to get a 3 unless they did something like it's exceptional, So I feel like this is just an average. Of course, I did not like it at first. When I first heard it, I was like, no, this is terrible. Then I listened to it again and I had a different opinion of it. I just, the music is really produced. This whole album is like that. It's just, I don't know. There's like no flaws in any way. So it just sounds really like mechanical. And I feel like they did that with Ride the Lightning, and having listened to the Metallica version of that all my life, where it isn't overproduced and it has, some like real, I don't know, aggression to it. It's hard to hear this and then know of that, I guess.
Yes.
Yeah, that's about it, man. That's all I have to say about this track. It's not one I'm going to listen to. I don't even know if I'll pull this record out again, now that we're done with this ranking, unless we're going to review stuff sometime down the road. But there's so much good Megadeth. This is not going to be in the rotation.
Yeah, I'd be hard pressed to find a track to pull out and put into a playlist. Tipping Point, maybe Let There Be Shred. That'd be tough. Well, here's my notes on Ride the Lightning, Nate, the bonus track. So Dave, with his current state of singing voice, would have been better served to cover a different Metallica song that he helped write, like Call of Cthulhu.
Right on.
That's right, the instrumental. Now, I will say, out of all the vocal performances on this album, this one feels like the one he tried the hardest on. And he had a classic song and a classic Hetfield vocal performance that he had to contend with. And unfortunately, it didn't work. Musically, it's top notch. Although I agree with your point, Nate, it's overproduced. There's a danger element that's gone. It's just like Pro Tool to the nth degree. It has all the sharp riffing that Dave and company are well known for. But dang, that vocal performance just brings it back down every time. I'm with you, Nate. When I first heard it, I was like, oh shit, I can't believe he released it. And then it was like, okay, you know what? Maybe it's not as bad. Once you get used to knowing that his voice sucks on this track, then you kind of you're braced for it. It becomes like, okay, here comes the least enjoyable part of this song that I do enjoy from Metallica. Every time I revisit it, I hear the great music and think that it could rate higher, but Dave vocals every time reminds me of why I gave it a 3 rating. Nate, so we are simpatico on that one. The bonus track, Ride the Lightning, as a 3. So you got any recap notes?
Overall, there's some really good throwback moments to early Megadeth. As I mentioned, there's different riffs and aspects of songs that harken back to the glory days. I think it's really bland lyrically, and Dave's vocals are not great anymore. That's kind of the theme of it. There's some really good music on it, and then it's just too bad that it is what it is. I don't know. I'm just going to say, could have at least did a better job with the lyrics, but I don't know, would that have really helped it? I guess maybe.
Definitely would have. Yeah. If you would have been like, his voice isn't the greatest, but I like what he's saying, and he doesn't have to be Dave Mustaine from 20 years ago, because like you said, there's some songs that fit better with the voice he's got now, and we hear that with other artists that as well. It's like, you can evolve in that fashion. Megadeth has evolved just like Metallica throughout their whole career. Megadeth, not as much in the 80s as Metallica did, and especially going into the 90s. But then, of course, they were chasing Metallica through the 90s. So like, oh, you can write shitty music. Well, so can we.
Yeah, there's a lot of Megadeth that, there's other acts from that era like Overkill, like we talk about all the time. that,
Yep.
Dave, because of how extreme Megadeth was in the early days, I think it's a shame that he changed course and then never really went back to it. There's been like a bunch of attempts, but he's never really recaptured that, in my opinion.
Yeah, that break when he had his injury, when he couldn't play guitar, and then there was a possibility that Dave Ellefson was going to keep the band afloat and maybe relaunch Megadeth without Dave, that whole process. And then, of course, the lawsuits and all that jazz. He came back a little bit more true to form, but it still was, it's just, it's not the old Megadeth. It's not the old Dave. He doesn't have that mindset to write. Metallica is going through that same thing, and maybe they don't want to. But it feels like Dave does. It feels like he's trying to recapture old glory, and I think his ego gets in the way. I think he thinks no matter what I do, it's going to be good. And I think some Megadeth fans are problematic in that formula by saying, "Oh, Dave, yeah, that last album was so great." And it's like, "No, it was okay, but let's raise the bar a little bit." And it seems like he was kind of on that path with Dystopia. We had a smidge of that with Endgame, but then he just went back to being to not having as good of material. And then, of course, we get Super Collider. And then, Dystopia comes, and it's like, sweet, okay, keep doing this. And it's like, just can't. It's like getting close to the top of the mountain again, and he can't quite get there.
I mean, even Testament's been putting out some heavy ones in their late career.
Yeah, I mean, they're mid 2020 was around 2015 earlier. That with Dark Roots of Earth, just fucking phenomenal. And Megadeth doesn't really have that. They get close, I feel, with Endgame, and they get close with Dystopia, but they just don't get that home run like the Testament got. And Overkill with Ironbound, which just was like shit.
And then everything since from Overkill,
yes,
just been at that level,
rock solid. Yeah, and unfortunately, Dave's just, I think he's too complacent, and maybe it is ego. I'll get into my notes here quick, just to help wrap this up. So my recap on the whole album is his singing issues bring the album down a little bit. It's not bad. It's just missing that Dave snarl and that fire and that passion. He's either unwilling or incapable of using that voice any longer. I'm unsure which is which. That would have helped with some of these lackluster choruses and added more fire to Megadeth's final studio album. Of course, lyrically, yes, that could have used some juice as well. Nate, I'm not sure if you caught this, and I felt like I did, and maybe I'm wrong, but when I listened to it again today, it reminded me of this fact. Dirk Van Buren's edition did nothing special to the album, and I blame Dave Mustaine for making me feel like it was going to, because he made him sound like he was going to be Gar Samuels 2.0. And he is not. He doesn't have the swing. He doesn't have the jazz. He doesn't have whatever Gar and some of those earlier guys. The last good Megadeth drummer, the last unique, the last one who brought something to the band other than just filling a chair was Nick Menza. After that, we have not had anybody that is compared. Nick Menza was the last great Megadeth drummer.
Agreed.
He should have hired a producer, and not this guy, not Chris Rakestraw. He should have went out and got a name and said, you know what, this is gonna be my last album. Get Andy Sneap. Look at the magic Andy Sneap worked with Judas Priest and other bands he's worked with. Get somebody who's gonna challenge you, Dave, and not just go, yes sir, whatever you want, sir. Oh yeah, that chorus, it's phenomenal. No, the chorus sucks. Tell him it sucks. Raise the bar. Fuck, this is your last album. You want to go out with this? I'm just not feeling it, man. This feels like it was mailed in, just like, okay, we're going to put a bow on the album. We're going to put a bow on the career. We don't care if it's any good, but it'll be done. And him co-producing this album, I feel, was a mistake. Dave should have been removed from that role. He should have had a taskmaster, somebody to challenge him, and he didn't have it. And I think it falls flat because of this. Slayer's last album is heads and tails far above this album with Repentless.
Yeah, Slayer's another one that had a lot of success that didn't change. I mean, their albums don't sound cookie cutter, but they're They remained heavy the whole time.
They had a little bit of different sound in a fashion without that full evolution during the 90s, but it still was Slayer.
Yeah, I love all of it. All.
So I'd say overall, I gave the album a 3 for the purposes of this. And when I went through and I ranked through all my rankings of the worst to best, Nate, I know you didn't cover that on yours, so I'll wrap up with mine and then you give me yours. I slid it into the number 11 slot out of 17, so it doesn't crack my top 10. It just barely edges out The Sick, The Dying, and The Dead, but barely. Where do you have it in your worst to best?
I ranked this a 3 as well as an album. So I just wanted to mention that. So even though I had some favorable ratings, my bad ratings, I guess, brought it down, but it was just basically like a 3.1 when I had it tallied it all up. I have this ranked at number 13. That is between United Abominations at 12 and The System Has Failed at 14. I have The Sick, The Dying, and The Dead ranked above it at 11. But we're close.
Yeah,
I'm at 13. You're at 11. Actually, after looking at my list, I thought it'd be fun to re-rank these. I'm curious what I would think today if I actually went through each album and renumbered, did the whole deal all over again. Just because I'm curious by some of the way I have it in here, I'm like, is that really how I had this? But yep, it's here in a saved file, man.
Yeah, I was right there with you. I looked at a few things. I was like, oh yeah. And then I kind of started to put myself, start kind of going through track lists on some of the albums. And I thought, oh yeah, maybe, there was only a few good songs on that one, and the rest was kind of mediocre. But some of them at least had like the home run. I've mentioned that in album reviews in the past. This one doesn't have any home runs. It's got a couple, maybe a triple on there, but there's nothing that goes, oh my God, this is almost worth the price of admission. And I don't get that on this album. I just feel like it's a bunch of tracks to round out a career, and nothing that makes me go, fuck, that's the stuff right there. There's not any one of those on this album.
Yeah, I would agree with that. So that's it. Goodbye, Megadeth. See you on tour.
Yes.
For 3 years or whatever it is he's doing.
Yeah. And make no mistake, obviously Dave was very important in thrash metal, and he's wrote some fucking killer music throughout his career. But less so towards the tail end of it. And, and there's other bands you could say that too, so he's not special in that regard. Grateful for all of his success, grateful for that they were still going. It was still cool, 10 years ago, seeing him live and hearing some of those old songs, but he's not the greatest live singer. I don't know if he ever has been, maybe in the early years of Megadeth, maybe into the 90s, but at some point it just felt like, yeah, he's not, he doesn't put forth the effort of a live singer, like he's got to save something for the show or something like that, or save something for a specific song. It just felt like kind of weak. And maybe that's why they don't have a lot of live material to cull from. I know they got that Live in Buenos Aires, and I think there may be some pieces here and there, and Metallica maybe suffers from the same thing where it's like, it's the experience is more true to form than the recorded product. But some bands obviously aren't like that. Some bands, it's like, you want to hear Bob Seger singing some of his stuff live versus those, the way the studio was, or the Peter Frampton Comes Alive smoked everything that was recorded, in the studio.
Yeah.
But there are bands that just can't do that. Look at fucking Motley Crue.
Right.
You want to think of bottom barrel live performing, and that's before Vince became the caricature of what he became pre-stroke. I'm not taking, shots at him because he had a stroke. Not by any means.
Never been a good vocalist live that I've heard. Vince Neil.
And you saw him early, right?
No.
Oh, wait, you saw him in the
2005.
late 90s. Oh, 2005. Okay.
Where he was yelling at the crowd because they weren't getting into their show.
Oh, geez. That's always good to do. Well, Nate, it was a fun little adventure here. I had a feeling, I was wondering if you were going to have more shine on it. Maybe it helped that we didn't do it right away after the album came out. I'm not sure. But I did take my notes a while back when we were talking about doing this, and I made sure to go back, and I did lower some of my scores. I was even wondering if it was going to slide back, but it just barely held its spot versus the previous album, that Sick, the Dying, and the Dead. But we got to wrap up with a song. So Nate, for the final song, what are we going to send everybody home with?
But we agreed that we're going to roll out with Tipping Point.
We did. Yeah, I was wondering about, you had given Let There Be Shred kind of high marks, but for me, I think Tipping Point would be one we're a little bit closer on. What did you give that one again? Tipping Point, was that a 3 or 4?
4.
A 4, okay. I gave it a 3.5.
Yeah, Let There Be Shred's got like comical lyrics. I mean, at least Tipping Point's got there's an attempt at something more interesting. So anyways, Tipping Point's a good one to roll out with. Perfect.
Yeah, I give it the 3.5. I couldn't go up to a 4. I had to give it a half point just to rib Baco. No, I'm kidding. I don't do that. I do it just for me. I do it for me, Nate, not for anybody else.
Hey, man, if it works for you, do it. Do what you got to do, man.
All right. So there we go. Final Megadeth ever. Final studio album. Maybe not recording, Nate, but final studio album ever. And they're going to be out with Iron Maiden, and then eventually, they've kind of started their farewell tour with them as headliners, but that's only in South America currently, if I'm not mistaken. Or was there some Canadian dates on that? I don't recall now off the top of my head. Yeah, I probably shouldn't even have brought it up. But there you go. You can always go to Megadeth.com. Actually, weren't they the first band to ever have a website? Isn't that one of Dave's claim to fame?
I think you're right. Narrowly beating out Kiss. No, I don't know. Just kidding.
I think Dave's got that tramp stamped on the back of his lower back there.
I think you're right.
I'd hate to be wrong. So
it's his only tattoo.
It's the only one. Only his wife and Jesus get to see that one. So here we go. Tipping Point from Megadeth 2026. The White Album. And until next time, my friends,
stay heavy.
You. Every village has its asshole and you're it. See, that's what happens when cousins fuck. Yeah. Put your hands up. Who's the idiot? Put your hands down. You fucking asshole. 60,000 sperm and you're the one that won. What a fucking loser.
Thank you for listening to Disciples of the Watch. This episode was produced by Gene Vogel and Nathan Matnich. All music is property of the artist or the publisher. Please buy music and support the art we all love. Editing on this episode was done by Gene Vogel. Check out our website, dotwpod.com, for show notes, links, and more information on the show, as well as connections to social media. Don't forget to subscribe to the show using your preferred podcast application, or use our FeedBurner RSS feed listed on our website. Plug it into your browser or whatever app you're using, and then you will get all of the goodness moving forward. And you can also download the show as MP3 files from dotwpod.com. If you'd like to support the show, please click on the support us link at our website. As well, we have Patreon, so you can do a monthly contribution if you so desire, or purchase some of our merch from our website. Thank you for listening, friends, and stay heavy.